everyone. Let me make sure
Okay.
I've got my right microphone working. Okay, good. So take a moment and just open yourself up. You are surrounded by the intelligent, resonant silence, even when you're not listening to it. Connected to that are all sorts of forces that are helping you and guiding you along the way. But everybody here right now has been coming for a while. You know the meditative state. So rather than having me drag you into it over 15 minutes, see if you can just flip. It's really no different than when you're in a room of people and all of a sudden you want to connect and communicate with one of them. You shift your attention to them and you just kind of open up, and a very natural connection forms. This person's up here. Just shift your attention and let that connection start to flow. I can heighten it for you. I can hold space for it. But it's not through me that it happens. This is your connection to your own divinity. The part of you that's real, the part of you that's awake, the part of you that knows why you're here. It's not a part of your personality. It's actually a part of you that at its center is the same in everybody. I remember the first time I ever slipped into it. I was just walking in my monastery and something just shifted. And instead of just brushing up against it, it was just 100% accessible. In that moment, I knew how everything in my life connected. Every person that I have ever had in my life, everyone that I had now, every difficulty in my life, every protective joy or kind person, it was a fascinating, intricate web of perfection. And for about 3 full days, I was in full awareness of it. You can't stay in full awareness of it. If you did, you would disappear. If you did, there'd be no point in being here. This excursion into the world of Earth necessitates a separation between you and your knowledge. our spiritual techniques actually take us to a place where we can kind of open it in bits and pieces, even work with entities on the other side of the veil so that they can pantomime messages to us. But that Saturnian barrier, for the most part, needs to remain in order for this life to force you to grow in the ways that you need to grow. And that's true whether you're a student, that's true if you're a teacher. You're awakening to what's beyond it. It's flashes of insight that build up over time. It would be like if the sky was always full of clouds and you'd never seen the sun and you didn't even know it was there. And then every now and again, your spiritual practice and the teachers that you'd encounter would kind of just create a little part in the sky for you, just long enough for you to experience what's there. You wouldn't understand it at first, but you would know it's something magnificent. And every time it parted, every time those clouds parted, you would understand it more and more. And eventually, it would be there even when the block was in place. It wouldn't matter that there were clouds covering the sky because you were in full awareness of what's on the other side of it. Even if you can't feel its warmth in every moment, even if that perfected intelligence that neutralizes every obstacle is not shining directly on you. The fact that you've ever seen it, the fact that it exists, clarifies the meaning of its non-existence, clarifies the challenge that is put on our plates as humans to deal with. Can we open up in the face of that challenge? Can we let our heart love in the face of that challenge? Even though we still feel fear, because we've seen that it isn't based on anything real, can we feel it in full knowledge that it's an illusion and walk forward anyways? It's kind of like when you know that you have really supportive parents. You take different risks than you would if it was just you in the world. You know, if there's a safety net there, someone that can bail you out, you live differently than if a couple mistakes can tank you in a way that you don't know how you'd crawl out of it. When you know what's on the other side of the clouds, on the other side of the block, you live differently. when you really know it, even death becomes something that isn't scary. I mean, all of it takes you from a place of deep challenge to a liberation from that challenge. You also start to view those challenges as growth opportunities, and so you come to realize the real benefit of life is not the highs, it's the lows. It's the things that actually force you to strengthen yourself. And you can communicate beyond that barrier, because the barrier is actually an illusion, a very convincing illusion. I feel like there's the perfect analogy just on the tip of my brain, and I can't quite pull it out. It's like a parent who loves their child so much that when their child starts making big mistakes and going down wrong pathways and actually start showing some true colors that are maybe not something that you would want, there's a part of them that can't see their kid that way, right? We see this in parents all the time. There's a part of them, you're able to see it because you don't have that same investment. And so, they pretend it isn't happening. The barrier is kind of like that in a way, only flipped. It's not a great analogy. But even when you know it's an illusion, it's like the investment in it is hardwired. And so you can consciously open up and move beyond it, but it's not the path of least resistance. The second you relax, it'll all come right back. But the time that you spend with that barrier parted changes everything about how you live on this side of the barrier. But you've seen it, haven't you? Right? You get done with the class and you can feel it resonating in you for the rest of the night. Maybe tomorrow it's still kind of there, but it's not quite as strong. People at the beginning phases, by day 2 or 3, aren't thinking about it at all. And if you miss a bunch of sessions, eventually you can't even remember why you cared. I've been doing this a long time. I've seen it over and over. You'll lose people for years, and then, one of those forces that's just kind of helping them at one point when they hit sort of a low will just push through a memory of how they felt when they were pursuing their spiritual life. And then they'll show back up. And they're always welcome. But it's a communication. You shift your attention and you just kind of reach out in that rapport, and what you feel come back is something clean and awake and intelligent. It probably won't speak to you in words. It will probably speak in just knowing. That place you get to when we meditate together is a product, actually, of that knowing. It gets packaged in my words, but it actually opens you up to your own knowing. But if you never talk to that person at the party, then you don't get to experience it. If you don't shift your horizontal attention, obsessed with all the stories of life, and instead shift to that vertical attention, where you are reaching into the meditative state, into that resonant, silent intelligence that comes seemingly from the top of your head. If you don't reach out, it doesn't backwash in. At least not in a way that you can immediately feel. So let's do that now. Attention at the forehead and crown. Anchor your eyes on the floor or whatever's right in front of you. And just turn your attention to that meditative state. Just reach out to it, open and available. And just listen and commune as you breathe. Just gently continue. The lower parts of you will stir as they make the shift from horizontal into vertical. And that's okay. They'll settle down. then any stuck energy that isn't in alignment with that will start to try and move out. It'll create a little sense of undulation. Like there's something to do. Or if you're really stuck, it'll make you angry. But you let the energy body be the energy body. Let the feelings be the feelings. And you just be the watcher of your breath in the meditative state, reaching into vertical consciousness. At first, it looks like a limitation, like a thin sliver of an experience. But when you stabilize yourself within it and just let yourself abide there, it's a whole world. A sanity that you didn't even know you were missing. The energy is evening out now. That's good. Stay with it. Stay with it, and reality will open up around you. Doesn't that just work better? Isn't it strange that we don't live like this? Open yourself for communication. Which is just a shift in your focus and an interest, an invitation. And just listen. Let your guides show you your natural state. Make it your home and you can stabilize within it. Make it your home so your nervous system can learn that feeling. When I sit down for class, there's nothing I have to do to step out of my stories and get into this state, because my whole body knows it. I've spent so much time in it. That's what you get through practice. As I sit here, I can hear little messages coming through for you. But they're real messages from Spirit. They don't have any words attached to them at all. They're shifts in tone and vibration that your energy body understands. They come into the space that we're all sharing. Little packages of resonance to play your energy body like an instrument. so much to this human experiment. You have so much guidance that you're not even aware of. Guiding levels of your being that you often ignore. And it happens whether you're conscious or not. But when you lend your consciousness to something, it magnifies the power of it. Everyone can get more done. A deeper, more complete transformation, imbibing of the lesson. So guys, I can feel that the cycle of energy has come to a close earlier than usual tonight. Are there any questions or anything that you'd like to talk about before we end for the night? Even anything you're curious about. You bet, Joanna.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Good night.
Good night. All right, everybody. I will be here next Thursday. Just spend some time this week reaching into the meditative state. Just turning to it the way you would turn your attention to someone fascinating at a party. And just feel its reflux of attention back on you as you reach out to it. See if you can capture that this week. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks, everybody.